last time we checked in with Elizabeth Gilbert, she left us with 3 great words of advice. But first, welcome back to Get Connected. I'm your host, Conn Jackson. And those words were eat, pray, and love. It became her New York Times best-selling book, a rage around the world. Well, she's followed that up with an amazing book called Committed. Yeah, that's right, Committed, in a serious relationship, about tying the knot. She did world-leading research and collected the facts, and she's sharing them with us in her brand new book, and she's here with us live. Elizabeth, it's great to welcome you back to Get Connected.
Hey, Conn, good to be with you.
So I want to thank you for the pictures you sent from your last travels to Indonesia, Italy, and India, and so much more.
And Cambodia and Thailand. Yeah, it's nice to be talking to the southeast of the United States about a book that takes place in the southeast of Asia.
That is so amazing. I'm jealous that you've got to see all these places around the world. But there's one picture in particular you have to share with us about, was you in front of the bus. Do you remember that one with you and the peace sign?
Oh, God. I do remember this. Yeah, this is a picture, you know, the book Committed is about my efforts to make peace with the institution of marriage. And, you know, my sweetheart and I had to get married. Basically, the Homeland Security Department made us do it. And prior to the marriage, as we were trying to get back into the United States with the right visas, we ended up traveling around. And that picture in front of the bus was the middle of a 12 or 13-hour bus trip through the center of the country of Laos. During which we had probably the biggest argument of our entire 10 months of traveling.
What were you guys arguing about, being on that bus?
Yeah, exactly. What are we doing on this bus with no air conditioning, with a lot of livestock around us, and you know, just this feeling of powerlessness that we both had about the fact that we were stuck traveling when we really did want to come back home and recommence our lives together.
You know, Elizabeth, share with our viewers a little bit of what you found out between what you call romantic marriage versus arranged marriages.
Yeah, well, in anthropological circles, they call it pragmatic marriage versus individualistic marriage. Pragmatic marriage is any marriage where the union is brought together for the benefit of the community. Whether the person chooses the union themselves or whether it's arranged, the idea is that we're creating a tribe here and we're doing what's best for the whole. And that's how most marriages have been in human history. Until the Industrial Revolution and people had the wealth and what I would call the incredible emotional luxury to be able to reduce marriage down to a romantic union.
So I'm curious, how do you think the modern marriage would be viewed by pragmatic cultures of the past?
I think most people throughout history would think that we were absolutely crazy to risk our families, our children, our future, our finances, and the security of the general community on something as ephemeral and mysterious as simple love. And so it's interesting to see that in all of time, across all societies, when arranged marriages are replaced by individualistic love marriages, the divorce rate immediately starts to soar. It's happening in India right now. It almost seems like, as I said in the book, divorce is the tax that we pay collectively as a society for choosing to believe in love. It's a tax I'm willing to pay, but it's good to know that it's a big risk.
You know, one thing you mentioned, Elizabeth, is that the graduation into womanhood is less about the wedding than it is about the marriage.
Yeah, I think this is a big problem, especially for very, very young people. I think there is this blurring in our society about the difference between a wedding and a marriage. And we have also fetishized weddings to such a high degree. And I think a lot of times when young people say that they want to get married, what they really are saying is that they want to have a wedding. And I think that if people, including myself when I was young and got married, gave as much thought to questions of how you're going to interact and questions of finance and raising children and sharing household responsibilities and what your ideas are about monogamy, for instance, rather than arguing over what color the bridesmaids' dresses are going to be and where everybody's going to sit. I think it would probably be better preparation for the real trial of marriage in a way.
You know, Elizabeth, this is such a fascinating read and an eye-opener when it comes to marriage. But you have a phrase that you use, the fairy tale beginning and not the ending. What do you mean by that?
Right. Well, I think the problem, and I understand, the narrative of movies and romantic books, weddings make such wonderful endings, and romantic togetherness makes such a great conclusion to a short, compact story. But in fact, I would prefer to have a fairy tale beginning, a wonderful, heady, delightful early romance followed by something that became, more pragmatic, more about friendship and affection, trust, loyalty. I think those are the traits that make you actually be able to keep a relationship together for decades and decades. We all still need romance in our lives, but anybody who's over the age of 15 probably realizes that it's going to take a little more than that to keep things together for 50 years.
I love asking this question of all our successful people we've talked to, but in closing, given all your success, what advice would you give to the rest of us living out our dreams?
Oh, wow, that's a nice question. I think that when it comes to doing anything that's artistic and dedicating yourself to it, you have to almost take monk's vows. You have to decide at some point in your life that this is what I'm here for, this is what my purpose is, and I'm going to dedicate myself to this regardless of the outcome.
Elizabeth, that's great advice to live by. You are such a friend of this show. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much.
If you want to learn more about her wonderful book, Committed, log on to our Get Connected website at conntv.com. What's going to be the hottest fashion coming up in the spring? It's not too early to talk about it. What's the color? And more when we come back.